Hey, yo, let me ask you something. How many times have you said to yourself, "Oh, I'll start Monday," or "It'll start next month"? I'll start when I feel motivated. A couple of times, maybe. It is a difficult question. How many Mondays have you had? Because if motivation worked, you'd already be where you want to be. Because let me tell you something, motivation isn't the problem. Depending on it is. A little bit about my story. I used to think that I needed to feel motivated and get all amped up before, before I could train. I'll wait until I was in the mood, until I had the energy, until everything sort of like lined up. The problem was life never lines up. I work shifts, children to deal with, being tired, feeling stress, having injuries, having self doubt. There was always a reason. Then one day it just kind of clicked. I don't know what it was, but the people who I sort of looked up to weren't motivated every day. They were disciplined. They trained when they didn't feel like it. They turned up when no one was watching. They stopped negotiating with themselves. And I guess that kind of changed my mindset on things. I stopped asking myself, or do I feel like it? And then I started asking the question of who said I needed to be? Here's the hard truth. The uncomfortable truth is if your success depends on how you feel, you're never going to be consistent because feelings are unreliable. Some mornings you wake up full of energy. Maybe not so much these days. Some mornings you're going to wake up feeling flat, can't be bothered, and the excuses are going to start flooding in. Reasons why you should just hit snooze one more time. Reasons why you should just go back to sleep, or maybe skip the workout this morning and do it later on, or whatever that might be. If discipline only shows up when motivation does, it isn't discipline. That's motivation, isn't it? That's just like a little trend. Yeah, a bit of research that I did, and found that behavioral psychologist James Clear, Atomic Habits, um, describes habits as systems that reduce the need for constant motivation. So they did some research into behavioral psychology and consistently shows that people who rely on routines and environmental cues are more likely to stick to it. They're more likely to stick to positive behaviors than those who rely on willpower alone. So, in other words, the less time or whatever you have to debate with yourself, the more likely you are to succeed. That's why systems beat feelings. I do a lot of home workouts online. I recently started doing them on the field. That's another option for people to train with me. I have places to do those workouts. Yeah, so I have a system. Get up. My alarm goes up 5:30. I make sure I get up out of bed before 6. Have that coffee. Have a little moment with myself, and then I start preparing. I give myself the last 5 minutes, 25 past. That's dedicated purely to just making sure every little bit's ready for when I start that session. Get my screen set up, everything set up, ready to go. That's the system, Monday to Friday. It's not. I don't negotiate with it. I prepare myself for it the night before, and for the best part, it works. And there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, can't bother doing past 6 or 7. I do that in the morning because I have other things to do. After that, I might not be able to get to train again that day. I might not be able to do anything else over that day other than my job. But I can almost guarantee that regardless of where I am, that I can do it at that time. So I created that system and it's non-negotiable. Maybe a lesson from boxing. Nobody becomes a good boxer because they felt motivated. They became a good boxer because they throw the jab again and again and again, 1,000 times, more than that, 1,000,000 times possibly in their lifetime. The job isn't exciting. Everyone will that big right hand. Very few people have been knocked out with a jab. Doesn't get the sort of applause and the sort of the big up, like right uppercut does, or the left hook. My favourite punch. But under pressure, you know, you don't rise to your motivation, you fall to your training. And life is exactly the same. The pressure comes, you won't suddenly become disciplined. You become whatever you practice. You revert to type, as we say in the boxing world. So if you practice throwing that jab over and over and over again, you're going to be able to set up that big right hand or that left hook. Because if you just throw a big right hand when you're tired, you're gonna do that swing and a miss, yeah, and that's gonna sap your energy out. But the discipline side of you knows that the jab must come first. Something must come before it. Like I said, you'll become whatever you've repeatedly practiced over time, day in, day out, bit by bit, brick by brick. 1% better each time. Over 100 days, you become 100% better. You become more reliable, more consistent. Now, the savage way. The world celebrates that motivation now, don't we? If you look online on YouTube, you'll find thousands of videos on motivation. But we celebrate discipline. Because motivation says, I'll do it tomorrow. Discipline says, start now. Motivation says, I don't feel like it right now. Discipline says, feelings don't make decisions. Motivation is going to wait for the right time. Discipline moves. One creates hope and the other one creates results. Like the workout. It's better to sometimes just go to the gym, even though you don't feel like it, and just do something, because you're still better than doing nothing. There's always practice, always bears fruit, is something that I learned from my martial arts days. Practice always bears fruit. You might not have got much fitter in that one session, but there was a lesson waiting for you in that moment. Don't know what that lesson will be. You have to do the workout to find out what that lesson is for yourself. But I guarantee it's there. I guarantee that it's there. If you don't go, well, you're going to learn another lesson. That other lesson is going to be, we can take time off, we can slack off, and then still achieve his results. If you're a boxer, that you'll know that missed workout could be the reason you start to doubt yourself come fight day. That could turn into something worse. It could turn into a habit, especially if you do it again. Let's be honest though, we've all made excuses, we've all skipped workouts, we've all broken promises to ourselves, and this isn't about guilt, it's just about awareness, because today we get another chance. Every sunrise is another opportunity to become the person we said we wanted to become. And that's why we're here. Not because we're perfect, because we're practicing it. We're practicing it day by day, brick by brick. So here's today's mission. Choose one thing you've been putting off. Do it within the next hour, not because you feel motivated, because you're becoming disciplined. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be a grand gesture. It just needs to happen. And then that way you're teaching yourself that action comes before emotion. Maybe a little reflection question for you. Have a little think about this. Where in your life have you been waiting for motivation when what you really needed was discipline? Be honest, yeah? The answer could change everything in that moment in time. Have a little think about that one. Spend a bit of time on that one. Motivation is going to get you started. Discipline is going to keep you moving. The life you want is built on the days you don't feel like showing up. Just do it, and you do it anyway. So many members will believe that they're lazy, and I want you to challenge that belief. Most people aren't lazy, they're just relying too much on discipline to do the job. That discipline needs to take over in your life. Again, I know we've all missed the workouts, we've all skipped the hard thing from time to time, but the more you get used to chucking yourself into the fire, the more you get used to the heat. So stop waiting to feel motivated. If it's not now, then when? Have a little think about that. Get back to me. Share and like. Until next time, in a bit.